Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
I am excited to announce that the podcast episodes that are specific to the Mountains to Sea Trail are now being sponsored by the MST Guide by Pocket Trails. The MST Guide is the most comprehensive app for maps and navigation developed for the Mountains to Sea Trail, providing unprecedented information and ease of access for day hikers, section hikers, and through hikers. Never get lost again. Updated maps with trail route changes and everything you need from parking areas, camping locations, water sources, and more. Available now for download through Google Play and coming soon for the iPhone. Check it out and download today. The MST Guide by Pocket Trails. Follow the lines in the palm of your hand. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. You are listening to Jester Section Hiker, the premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayheart. We will go right ahead and get to it with this episode. I am actually out in what's called the Black Balsam area of Western North Carolina. And you guessed it, I am out working on my 40 hikes for the Great Day Hikes on North Carolina's Mountains to Sea Trail. And I am about a mile, well, maybe a mile and a half in to hike number 4, which is Graveyard Ridge and Skinny Dip Falls. It's the Black Balsam Knob Road to Cherry Cove Overlook. And the distance for this particular hike is 6.8 miles one way. The degree of difficulty says strenuous, and it is all on trail. And the highlights are views, waterfalls, interesting natural history, high elevation, and a high elevation forest ecosystem. So like I said, I am about a mile into this hike, and I've got to say, where I got dropped off at the Black Balsam Knob parking area, I am very glad I took a right-hand turn and ended up on the Mountains to Sea Trail and not on the Art Loeb Trail this particular weekend, because right at the trailhead was about 25 people in big, huge packs. I'm assuming they were getting ready to go up to the Black Balsam Knob area, Tennant Mountain, and go up on the Art Loeb Trail for the evening. But so far, hike number 4 has been great. Right in the beginning, you go through a little bit of an area with soft pine needles, and then you go over a series of, I think in the book it says, 13-foot bridges, and I just came down a series of switchbacks, which I'm going to call tight squeeze skinny switchbacks. They weren't the long switchbacks where you switch back and you make a corner and you turn down. They were short and make a turn, short again, make a turn. I kind of felt like I was at a dog show, you know, when the dogs are weaving in and out of their flexible poles there. It's kind of what it felt like coming down. I am now in an area which looks like amazing camping. On the right-hand side, down over the ridge would be the Blue Ridge Parkway. And on my left-hand side, I am looking up, and I can actually see people up on it's either Black Balsam or Tennant Mountain, which are all over 6,000 feet. Not a cloud in the sky. I'm looking at the Mountains of Sea Trail sign, and I am only, if I'm 2 miles in, I'll be surprised. And looks like I've got about 3.8 miles to Looking Glass Overlook parking area. And then I know from there it is just a little over a mile to the Cherry Cove Overlook. So once again, welcome back to the podcast. If you are new, really appreciate you joining us. And today I'm going to be bringing you hike number 4. It is Saturday, October the 17th. Not a cloud in the sky. Amazing views. The leaves are turning, and I've already taken some great 1-minute clips to put up on Instagram for you guys when this episode goes out. So I will be back here in a little bit, probably in the last mile or so, to kind of give you a recap of this hike, number 4. And then tomorrow I hope to do hikes number 5 and 6. And maybe this afternoon I am going to sneak up to Frying Pan Mountain, because we are actually staying at the Mount Pisgah campground. And I've always wanted to go up to the Frying Pan Mountain Fire Tower, and it is only a mile from the campground. So I'm not going to be able to help myself, but hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday. And I will be back here shortly with the conclusion of hike number 4. Hey everybody, I am back, continuing on hike number 4, and wow, I just passed an area known as Skinny Dip Falls, and I'm not kidding. I bet there were 150 people in a little tiny area at Skinny Dip Falls, and when you climb these steps to get out of the Skinny Dip Falls and you continue on the Mountains of Sea Trail, it was literally, I never seen anything like it, a line of people almost to the turnoff to the parking lot area. So I am glad to be away from the parking area. And hey, that's the price you pay when you come hiking on one of the most gorgeous days in western North Carolina on the Mountains of Sea Trail in the Black Balsam area, not too far at any given point from the Blue Ridge Parkway. So just kind of wanted to recap the hike for you guys. I think I failed to mention earlier that this hike in particular, I am going east, and I believe the majority of the hikes I will be going east on the Mountains of Sea Trail. This hike gains a little over 1,300 feet in elevation, and there's actually a loss of 2,300 feet, a little over 2,300 feet of elevation loss for the 6.8 miles. But this has been great. I will have to say that it was crowded this morning in the Black Balsam area, but that's an area that's known to be crowded because the Art Loeb Trail, that's about the halfway point on the Art Loeb Trail, which is another phenomenal trail. It is 30.1 miles, and it goes over some of the highest and most gorgeous peaks in western North Carolina. So if you're ever in this area, the Art Loeb Trail is another little, not so hidden anymore, but but another gem of a trail in the western North Carolina area. But you start off from there, you immediately take a right on the Mountains of Sea Trail and kind of get away from all the traffic. And absolutely amazing, I will say, for the first 3.5 miles. You're kind of looking out to, you can kind of look out to your left and see the higher elevations hovering around 6,300 feet. And I would say the leaves are at a perfect point for this time of year, because if you look out to your left as you're hiking east, you can see views for almost 3.5 miles. And then you can kind of hear off to the right the Blue Ridge Parkway, so you're never really too far from the Blue Ridge Parkway. And then after about 3.5 miles, there is what I'm going to say a really nice camping area. So if you wanted to, you could come out here early evening, hike the 3.5 miles east, set up, have a great campsite, and then get up the next day, head early to Skinny Dip Falls, and then out to the parking area here where I'm going to end the hike. So, phenomenal hike. I will say it has been great having the leaves, the majority of the leaves off the trees. I would say they're about half done. The colors are great, but the leaves on the trail have made the footing tricky because the leaves are fresh and they're very crunchy, probably as you can hear. So they're not all batted down yet. And then you mix a good leaf on the trail combination, hiding some roots, and it can be really tricky. So I've had to stop myself a couple times, kind of slow down and regroup and make my way through the leaves on the trail. But other than that, I would say hike number 4, definitely worth it. You are going to deal with crowds at the beginning and then at Skinny Dip Falls. And I'm sure it's going to be a little bit crowded at the parking area up here where I end my hike after going the 6.8 miles. But other than that, great hike. And I will say I am looking forward to going to the Pisgah Inn. I heard through the grapevine that they are doing to-go meals. Typically, it's a dine-in restaurant, but because of COVID and all that good stuff, they are only doing carry-out. So hopefully I can go get a nice carry-out, afternoon, lunch, early dinner, and then figure out how to get to Frying Pan Tower, because I actually want to go up there, because I am imagining the views from the fire tower are absolutely phenomenal. So I want to take a look at that as well. But with all that being said, hike number 4, highly recommend. I would also recommend that you come during the week and maybe not on one of the highest leaf peaking days or weekends in October. But hey, that's just the way it goes, and that's the time that I have, and it didn't stop me. So there you have it. Hike number 4, great. And if I get up to Frying Pan, I will come back and chat with you all real soon. Have a great Saturday, and I'll be back. All right, everybody, it is still Saturday, October the 17th. And I was able to go over to the Pisgah Inn and get a to-go meal from there. Got a grilled chicken sandwich and fries, my favorite. And let all that settle down. And then walked up to, or hiked up to, the Frying Pan Tower. And I'm actually working my way down from there now. Pretty much, it's a 0.75, very well maintained gravel road, and not very steep. Typical climb up to a fire tower. And what was surprising is when I got up to the tower, there was actually a line to walk to the top of the tower. So I took a couple videos, snapped some pictures, and I will check the frying pan tower off the list, which is out of the book I think I mentioned. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before in the Mount Mitchell episode. The Hiking North Carolina Fire Towers book by Peter Barr. There are actually 26 towers in that book. And if you complete all 26 towers and you are a member of the Carolina Mountain Club, you can actually get a fire tower patch for doing all of those towers. And sadly, I've been working on those towers since 2008. But I just checked off number 19 with frying pan. So 7 to go. And I just keep a record in my mind and in the book of which ones I need to do. And if I'm in the area, I will make sure I tag that tower. And the cool thing too was when you got up to the frying pan tower is you could actually look out and see over Mount Pisgah, which is another high point in western North Carolina. And actually, I didn't realize this, but hike number 5 leaves from the Pisgah Inn, which is directly across the street from the campground we're staying at, which is where I got lunch today. So that'll be cool in the morning. I will be leaving from there. But if you are on the Blue Ridge Parkway and you want to take a little side trip, I don't know, 30-minute side trip up to Frying Pan Tower, it is at mile marker 409. And if you come on the weekend, you can expect a crowd. But if you hit it during the week, you may not see anybody. So just wanted to let you guys know, yay, was able to tag this tower. I am working my way back down. And then we are going to go to the campground. Hopefully have a nice little fire tonight and get some good sleep. It's supposed to be in the mid-30s, so should not be too bad. Might be a little chilly. But, also wanted to let you guys know, the author of the book, Hiking North Carolina Fire Towers, Peter J. Barr, he and I have actually been messaging back and forth, and I've actually met him a couple times. I met him at a book signing several years ago, and then he is also a 2010 Appalachian Trail through hike completer. And he's an amazing guy to listen to because he's all into the history and the land you're walking by. And I wish I had my fire tower book with me because I would read you the history of Frying Pan, and maybe I'll do that a little bit later. But good news, he is coming on the podcast because there is going to be a second release of that book, Hiking North Carolina Fire Towers. It is actually going to be coming out in the spring. And it is going to be a coffee table edition of the book. So that ought to be pretty cool. He had a photographer friend of his actually go out and take updated pictures of all the fire towers and all that good stuff. So hope to have him on sometime soon, probably after the first of the year to coincide with that book release. So be on the lookout for that, and maybe I'll get a couple more fire towers done by then. But anyway, just wanted to add this little addition, and I will be back on here tomorrow morning, and I will chat with you then. All right, guys, I am back. It is Sunday morning, October the 18th, and you can hear the crunch of the leaves here. I am actually in the last mile or so, 1.2, of hike number 5. But before I get into the hike, I wanted to give you a couple updates on some gear changes that I've made to my day pack. And that episode was episode number 40, What's in Jester's Day Pack. And I actually talked about this first item, that I might actually do this, and I went ahead and did it. So I ordered and am now carrying the SOL Bivvy sack instead of an emergency blanket. So it is actually an emergency bivvy sack. And the main thing that I like about this, hopefully I never have to open it and use it at all, but you can actually get inside and it covers you all the way around, even over your head if you need it to. And it is actually waterproof and reusable. And I believe it is right at 3 ounces. So I have taken the emergency blankets out. I was actually carrying 2. And the one bivvy sack is lighter than the 2 emergency blankets. So there's the first change. The second change, and I don't know if this is going to be a change, but I wanted to try the Nitecore rechargeable headlamp. It is actually the Nitecore NU32, I think, 550 lumen. And there are some special features on this particular headlamp that I like. It actually has an SOS feature, and the red light actually works with the SOS feature, and it's rechargeable. I've never had a rechargeable headlamp, and it was only $39.95. So I'm not discrediting my Energizer headlamp that I love, but I did want to try out a new option. So there are 2 changes for that. So let's get into, we'll stop here, hike number 5, which is from basically the back of the Pisgah Inn, right off of the Blue Ridge Parkway, to Mills River Valley Overlook. This hike is 4.5 miles one way. The gain is 1,100 feet. The loss is 1,956 feet. The highlights are the history at the Buckskin Lodge. The trail is a moderate grade, and I will 100% agree with that. And apparently there are some good birding option here for those that like to bird or go birding, I guess. And then I got to tell you guys this. In the book, it says at the 1 mile point is the former site of the Buck Spring Lodge, a hunting lodge for George Vanderbilt and his second house on the Vanderbilt estate. For those of you that are not familiar with the Western North Carolina area, the Vanderbilt estate is one of the most visited estates, basically, and it was the first estate to have a bowling alley and an indoor swimming pool and all these things. So I guess the hunting lodge, the Buck Spring Lodge, was his second house. And then from the Buck Spring Lodge, the Mountains to Sea Trail is also known as the Shut-In Trail until you get to the French Broad River. And there is a very popular trail running race that is held on this part of the trail each year, known as the Shut-In Trail Race. And I can go ahead and tell you, when you leave out of where the Mount Pisgah Trail kind of turns off, it is a side trail you can go to, and then this turns into, it coincides with the Shut-In Trail. You literally go straight up, you go straight back down, but I gotta tell you, the grade on this has been great. And the last thing here in the book, it says the Mills River Valley area is known to be a great place to spot migrating hawks in mid to late September each year. So there is the information from the book, and I will go ahead and recap this hike for you. And the first thing I'm going to say is amazing weather. I know, amazing, phenomenal. Those seem to be the words that I'm using for these hikes. But I have to say right now, hike number 5 might be my favorite. You actually start off, well, let me take you back a little bit. So we stayed at the Pisgah campground last night, right off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it got pretty cold, but not too bad. It got down to mid-30s. So the hike this morning started off pretty chilly, but right when you start there behind the Pisgah Inn at the kiosk, you pretty much go up, so you warm up rather quickly. And then the views in that first mile, amazing. I got some good footage, and I will share that with you guys when this episode comes out on Instagram. I'm trying to do some 1-minute clips so you guys can see some of the highlights of the hikes. And then you continue on, and when you get to the Buck Spring Lodge, you can kind of see where the lodge used to be. And you can really see why George Vanderbilt built that lodge right where it's at, because the view is unbelievable. And today there is not a cloud in the sky. And the pictures I'm getting are great because the fall colors, as I mentioned yesterday, they're almost perfect. There's still leaves on the trees, bright yellows, bright reds, all that good stuff. And I've actually only seen a couple people so far on this 4.5 miles, which has been great. So after you leave the Buckskin Lodge area, you meander down on a ridge, and the Blue Ridge Parkway is actually on your left side at this point. And you get down to where the Mount Pisgah Trail, which is a side trail off of the Mountains to Sea Trail. It's a 2.3 mile round trip. I opted not to do that this morning because I still have hike number 6 that I want to get done. And yeah, so from that point, I mean, the trail goes straight up, so you get a good workout. You kind of get to the top. There's a little bit of a view, but not much. And then you go straight down. And this is where those tricky leaves come into play again. They are fresh and new and crunchy. And I don't think it has rained, and many people have not been stomping them down since they fell. So you got to be careful with your footing and watch out for those roots that are underneath these beautiful crunchy leaves. But other than that, I'm going to have to say right now, hike number 5 has been my favorite. And I know I have 35 more hikes to go, but so far, hike number 5. All right, guys, I am on a ridge right now. I just crossed over the parkway, the Blue Ridge Parkway again. And on this ridge, because of the leaves falling and not being on the trees, I am able to see a gorgeous view out to the right. And I'm going to be able to get some more great pictures. And yeah, this hike ends at the Mills Valley Overlook. So I will meander my way there and then pick up and chat with you guys real soon for hike number 6. All right, you guys, I am back. I am actually coming down the side trail once you end, or once you're finished at Rattlesnake Lodge for hike number 6. But let me give you information on hike number 6. It's titled Rattlesnake Lodge. It is from the Craven Gap parking lot area off the Blue Ridge Parkway to the Tan Bark Tunnel. It is 4.4 miles one way. It does say moderate to strenuous, and I do agree with that, and I'll get into that here shortly. To go along with that, the gain is 1,500 and the loss is 1,433. The highlights are the history at the Rattlesnake Lodge Inn, wildflowers, and apparently this is the section of trail back in 2010 that President and Mrs. Obama hiked when they visited the Asheville area. So there's an interesting little tidbit that was actually in the book. And I'll just go ahead and say, if the president and his wife, Michelle Obama, hiked this hike, wow, this hike actually packs a punch. And it's actually a really good workout hike, and that's what I'm going to call it. It says the Rattlesnake Lodge is around the 4-mile point on the hike, and I do agree with that. So you actually start back at this parking area called Craven Gap, which is just a little pull-out area off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and you actually go up these wooden steps on a little side trail that actually takes you up to the Mountains to Sea Trail. And then you kind of carry on from there. And I will say, from where I ended hike number 5 at the Mills Overlook, it is about a 45-minute drive east on the parkway to begin this hike. And I will say it's been interesting, actually on the hike itself and the drive. We must be lower in elevation. I think the Rattlesnake Lodge said it was about 4,400 feet. There are a lot more green leaves on the trees, and the trail, there aren't a ton of leaves on the trail. So it's been a little bit different hiking, which is great. And I am going to call this my workout hike, because the elevation gain and loss is about the same. And I actually saw several trail runners on this hike, and a lot of day hikers, of course. The hike crosses a couple different parking areas where you can park and go up to Rattlesnake Lodge. So yeah, I'm calling this my workout hike. I mean, you're pretty much on the right side of a ridge, and the Blue Ridge Parkway is on your right side the whole time. And the ridge is undulating. You're going to go up a little bit, and then you go down a little bit, and then you go up a little bit and down a little bit, pretty much the whole way. And I was thinking as I was hiking, wow, this reminds me of hiking on the Appalachian Trail right around the Hot Springs, North Carolina area. And I just realized also we are not that far from that area. So probably similar terrain and similar patterns, since the areas are pretty close together. But I got to tell you, at the 2.5 mile mark in the book, it says you will begin a series of switchbacks, and that is the truth. So I read that early on in the hike and kind of prepped and prepared. I had myself prepared for the worst, because ahead you can kind of see where the peak is, where the lodge might be. Kind of had an idea where it would be, but wasn't for sure. And right at that 2.5 mile mark, you go down quite a bit. And I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. We're going down to a little gap, and then we're going to work our way up to Rattlesnake Lodge. And I will say, the switchbacks in the very beginning were very gentle. And I don't know, there's probably 10 switchbacks where it's very well graded, and there is split rail fencing on your left-hand side going up the switchbacks. So obviously that has been very well maintained. And when you get up to Rattlesnake Lodge, it's actually kind of shocking, because you can actually see retaining walls, and they have a marquee up there with a map on it that lays out exactly, where the property was, where the pool was, and tennis courts and various things. And it's like, wow, all this used to be up here. So really amazing. Really, like I said, a workout hike, very well worth it. If I lived in this area, I would probably hike this a lot. Not on the weekends, when all the people are around, but it's actually a great workout. And with that elevation gain and loss being roughly the same, I totally, even though I'm not doing round trip, I'm actually going down on a Blue Blaze trail where the hike actually ends down on the parkway. But your return trip is going to be about equal up and down. So Jim Grody, bravo, you tricked me on this one with those switchbacks. They weren't, I had my mind all worked up that they were just going to be terrible, and they were not. So I'm going to call this one my workout hike. Going up those switchbacks, I literally put one song on and put it on repeat and just listened to it over and over until actually I looked up and I was like, whoa, I'm at the lodge. I'm starting to see retaining wall and things like that. So hike number 6 is my workout hike. Hike number 5, I will rate as still my favorite hike in the series so far, even though now I've only done 6 out of 40 hikes. But looking forward to the rest of them. And I've got a little surprise for you guys, so I will be back here with you real shortly. All right, everybody, I am back. And the surprise is I am actually on hike number 7. I'm actually almost completed with that hike, I think. Maybe less than a mile to go. But to took a look at the book last night and decided that hike number 7 was close enough to the ending of hike number 6 to go ahead and take on that as well. And the hike itself is 2.3 miles one way. And the book actually has you going west. So that is the surprise. And boy, am I glad I decided to go ahead and do this. Wow. Simply gorgeous. The hike itself is actually in the what's called the Craggies area of western North Carolina. And you actually start at the Glass Mine Falls Overlook and you hike west to the Graybeard Overlook. Like I said, it is 2.3 miles one way. It is rated moderate, and I would agree with that, but after doing hike number 6 and number 5, I'm actually pretty tired, but I do not regret my decision because the weather is absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, this sets me up perfectly for hike number 8 to actually do a day trip and complete that one. So I am not spending the night out overnight. And the highlights of this are views, wildflowers, and berries. I would say 100% the views. If absolutely all the leaves were off the trees, you could almost, except when you're in the, what I call craggy bushes area. I wish I was better at trees and flowers and all that good stuff, but I'm not. You could almost see on this ridge, you're pretty much walking a ridge the whole way. And you could almost see off both sides. But the gain on this is just over 1,000 feet. And the loss is 632 feet. And I am going to say that you actually do the gain westbound, which is the direction the book has you going. And I didn't want to change that up. I want to hike all the hikes the directed way in the book, so I get a perspective of exactly what the book says and all that good stuff. But anyway, about the halfway point, you reach a spot in the book called the lunch spot, and I can definitely see why. It is a set of rock outcroppings, and you can see 360-degree views. And I actually did a little clip of that, and I will show that on my Instagram. As you guys can tell, I am going uphill, so out of breath and tired, but still happy. I decided to do hike number 7. I do not regret this at all. It is beautiful. It's actually a great path. And I would say so far, 80% of the way, you've got like nicely groomed path. There are some leaves down and some roots. And on both sides, you've got monkey grass growing on both sides. So absolutely phenomenal. Seems to be my word of choice. Phenomenal, beautiful. And I've really gotten lucky with the weather and kind of planned it this way. And that's the beauty of hiking these 40 hikes as day hikes. It really does give you a great sense of the Mountains to Sea Trail, a great view of driving east on the Blue Ridge Parkway across the state of North Carolina for the majority, or well, for about half of it. And just what I'm going to call a highlights tour of the state of North Carolina, the Mountains to Sea Trail, and so far the Blue Ridge Parkway. But all right, guys. Wow. Like I said, this hike, I am still climbing, but I should be done here in less than 30 minutes. And going to be heading back to Charlotte and back to work tomorrow. What a great weekend. Absolutely no complaints whatsoever. Hikes number 4, 5, 6, and 7. I hope you are enjoying these podcast episodes, because I'm really enjoying making these episodes. and telling you guys about the hikes. In fact, I'm really enjoying where the podcast is going with guest interviews, me bringing you hikes from various hiking trips that I've been going on. And then most recently with episode 41.5 with Hawk Mains, actually bringing you some hikers that I like to follow. So I like the format. I really appreciate you guys joining me again. Everything I talked about over the past couple days, I'm going to make sure I put in the show notes. Everything from Peter Barr's book, How to Find Information on the Carolina Mountain Club website about hiking all the fire towers in North Carolina. Obviously, I will leave the information about the Great Day Hikes book and, the Bivvy information and the headlamp information. You can find all of that in the show notes at hikingradionetwork.com. You can also subscribe to any of the shows that you enjoy listening to that fall under the Hiking Radio Network umbrella. You can leave us messages. There's a new feature on the website now where you can actually leave us a voice message. So that would be cool to get a message from somebody. You can donate if you like what we're doing here. Our producer, Steve Mighty Blue Adams, actually does all of our producing for each episode, all of the editing, and anything and everything that goes with getting these episodes out. So if you enjoy what we're doing, you can also donate to the Hiking Radio Network. All that money goes directly to Steve Adams, and he uses that to keep all of our shows in production and pay all the RSS feeds and the whatever else feeds happen. But anyway, if you feel so inclined, we would really appreciate that, and every penny of it helps. I really appreciate you guys coming back. And sorry, I think I've repeated myself, but you guys, I am out of breath. So I am going to end it on that. As always, happy section hiking, everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.